Something is happening right now that you need to know about. People are staring at your face differently. Not the way they used to look at you with casual recognition or polite acknowledgement. This is different. This is deeper. They're searching for something they can almost see but can't quite name. Their eyes linger on your features for just a split second too long. They tilt their heads slightly when they talk to you, like they're trying to solve a puzzle that keeps rearranging itself. And the strangest part is they have no idea why they're doing it. But you've felt it, haven't you? That shift in how people respond to your presence lately. The way conversations pause when you enter a room. The way strangers lock eyes with you in public spaces and quickly look away, confused by their own reaction. The way old friends study your face like they're seeing you for the first time, even though nothing about your appearance has changed. Here's what's actually happening. There's a mark forming on your face that exists in a frequency most people can only sense but not consciously see. It's not physical in the traditional sense. You won't find it in a mirror. You won't see it in photographs. But it's there, growing stronger every day, becoming more visible to those who operate at certain levels of awareness. And whether you've noticed it or not, this mark is changing everything about how the world responds to you. This isn't superstition. This isn't imagination. This is a documented phenomenon that spiritual practitioners, energy workers, and even certain psychologists have recognized for centuries under different names. And if you're watching this video right now, if something pulled you here despite having a million other things you could be doing, then you're one of the people carrying this mark. Welcome to the revelation you didn't know you needed. Before we go deeper into what this mark means, what it reveals about your past, and what it's attracting into your future, type "I see it" in the comments right now. Let that phrase activate your conscious recognition of what's been operating in your life all along. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because this channel speaks directly to those who are waking up to realities that most people will never perceive. Now, let me take you inside the mystery that's been hiding in plain sight on your face. Let me show you exactly what people are sensing, why it's appearing now, and what it means for everything that's coming next in your life. You didn't ask for this. You didn't pray for some visible spiritual marker that would make you stand out even more than you already do. If anything, you spent years trying to blend in, trying to make yourself smaller, trying to dim the very light that kept attracting attention you didn't want. You learned early that being too different comes with a price. People either put you on a pedestal you never asked to stand on, or they try to tear you down for refusing to fit into boxes they built. So you adapted, you modified your behavior, you learned to code sabotage between different versions of yourself depending on who was in the room. But something changed recently. Maybe it was a specific event, a loss, a betrayal, or a moment of such profound clarity that your entire perspective shifted. Maybe it was a gradual awakening that happened so slowly you didn't notice, until one day you looked at your life and realized you were operating from a completely different frequency than before. Whatever the catalyst was, it triggered something in your energy field that began manifesting as this mark. And here's what makes this fascinating from a spiritual and psychological standpoint. This mark doesn't appear on everyone. It's not a universal human experience. It specifically shows up on people who have crossed a particular threshold of consciousness. People who have survived something that should have destroyed them and came out transformed, rather than just traumatized. Think about what you've been through in the last few years. The relationships that imploded, the careers that collapsed, the identities that dissolved, the beliefs that shattered, the people who abandoned you, the plans that failed, the versions of yourself that died. Most people would have broken permanently under that weight. Most people would have crawled into bitterness and stayed there. Most people would have let those experiences harden them into something cynical and closed, but you didn't. You did something rare. You let those experiences break you open instead of breaking you down. You used that pain as fertilizer for growth. You transmuted suffering into wisdom. You turned your wounds into doorways. And that alchemical process, that transformation from lead into something closer to illumination, That's what created the mark. The mark is essentially a vibrational signature that becomes visible on the energy body and subtly influences the physical appearance without changing actual features. It's like an overlay of frequency that people sense, even if they can't articulate what they're sensing. Practitioners who work with auras describe it as a particular quality of light around the face, specifically concentrated around the eyes, the forehead, and sometimes the jawline. It has a luminosity that seems to pulse or shift depending on the person's emotional state and spiritual alignment. Some describe seeing geometric patterns or symbols. Others talk about seeing colors that don't exist in the normal visible spectrum. But the common thread in all these descriptions is that once you see it on someone, you can't unsee it. It changes how you perceive that person forever. Let's get specific about what's happening when people stare at your face now. Their conscious mind isn't processing the mark directly, but their subconscious, their intuitive intelligence, their soul recognition software, that part of them is picking up on something significant. Here's how it plays out in real-world interactions. When someone looks at you, their brain is doing rapid-fire assessments based on millions of data points: facial symmetry, micro-expressions, eye contact patterns, energy signature, and something else. Something that doesn't fit into their usual categorization system. That's the mark. Their system flags it as important, but can't explain why. This creates a cognitive dissonance that manifests as lingering eye contact, repeated glances, or that searching look you've been noticing. Some people respond to the mark with instant trust. They feel safe around you in a way they can't explain. They open up faster than they normally would. They share things they usually keep guarded. They seek your advice on matters they wouldn't discuss with others. This happens because the mark carries a frequency of authenticity and hard-won wisdom. It signals to their subconscious that you've been through the fire and emerged refined rather than destroyed. People are drawn to that. They sense you won't judge them because you've been judged. They know you won't abandon them because you've been abandoned. They recognize that you understand pain and transformation in ways that only come from direct experience. But here's the flip side. Some people respond to the mark with immediate discomfort or even hostility. They can't articulate why you bother them. They just know that your presence makes them uneasy. They might describe you as intense or too much, or say there's something about you they can't put their finger on. What's really happening is that the mark is reflecting back to them everything they've been avoiding in themselves. Your survival threatens their excuses. Your growth exposes their stagnation. Your authenticity highlights their masks. Your peace reveals their chaos. They look at your face and subconsciously see a mirror, showing them who they could become if they did the work you've done. And that terrifies them. So they reject you before that reflection gets too clear. You've noticed this pattern accelerating lately. The polarization. People either love you or can't stand you, with very little middle ground. Relationships that were lukewarm are suddenly ending. New connections are forming with unusual intensity. People from your past are resurfacing with apologies or explanations. Strangers are approaching you in public with random compliments or confessions. Your presence is provoking reactions that seem disproportionate to actual interactions. Private people, this isn't random. The mark is intensifying, which means it's doing what it was designed to do. It's sorting people. It's attracting aligned connections and repelling misaligned ones. It's accelerating the process of putting you exactly where you need to be, with exactly who you need to be. Here's something most people don't understand about spiritual evolution. You don't get the mark until after you've completed a specific type of initiation. And I'm not talking about some ceremonial ritual you signed up for. I'm talking about the initiations that life throws at you without warning or permission. The ones that strip away everything you thought you were. The ones that force you to rebuild your entire identity from scratch. The ones that shatter your illusions about people, about fairness, about how the world works. You've been through at least one of these in recent years, maybe multiple. The initiation usually involves a betrayal so profound it rewires how you trust, or a loss so devastating it forces you to find strength you didn't know you possessed, or a failure so public it kills your attachment to other people's opinions, or a health crisis that makes you confront mortality and reprioritize everything, or a spiritual awakening so intense it leaves you unable to go back to sleepwalking through life. Whatever form it took for you, it had certain characteristics. It brought you to your knees. It made you question everything. It isolated you from support systems you thought would always be there. It lasted longer than you thought you could endure, and it changed you in ways that can never be undone. During that initiation, you probably felt abandoned by everything you used to believe in. You might have bargained, pleaded, raged, or gone numb. You might have questioned your sanity, your worth, your purpose, or whether any of this was worth continuing. Those dark nights weren't just psychological struggles. They were the refining fire that burns away false identities, superficial attachments, and ego structures that were keeping you small. Every tear you cried was washing away a layer of conditioning. Every moment of despair was creating space for something new to be born. Every time you thought you couldn't survive another day and then did, you were building the foundation for the person you're becoming. And then something shifted. You can probably remember the moment even if it was subtle. A day when you woke up and realized you were still breathing. A conversation that sparked something you thought was dead. A tiny decision to try one more time. A sudden insight that reframed everything. A stranger's kindness that reminded you that goodness exists. A moment of unexpected beauty that cracked your heart back open. That shift, that turning point, that was when you chose transformation over destruction. That was when you decided to let the experience change you instead of define you. That was when you stopped being a victim of your story and became the author of what comes next. And that decision, that choice to rise, to grow, to transmute pain into purpose, that's what activated the mark. The mark operates on 3 distinct levels, and understanding each one will help you recognize how it's been showing up in your life. First layer is the frequency signature. This is the energetic foundation of the mark. It's the vibration you emit that's different from how you used to resonate before your transformation. Think of it like this. Before your initiation, you might have operated at a frequency of seeking approval, avoiding conflict, or maintaining comfortable illusions. After your initiation, you shifted to a frequency of authenticity, boundary enforcement, or uncomfortable truth-telling. That shift in your core operating system changes the energy field around your body. People who are sensitive to energy pick this up immediately. They feel that you're broadcasting on a different channel now. Some are attracted to your new frequency. Others are repelled by it, but nobody remains neutral. Second layer is the wisdom imprint. This shows up in your eyes more than anywhere else. People say the eyes are windows to the soul, but after a major initiation, your eyes carry something extra. They carry the depth of someone who has seen through illusions and survived anyway. There's a knowing in your gaze that wasn't there before. It's not arrogance, it's not judgment, it's simply the unmistakable look of someone who has walked through the valley and came out with sight instead of blindness. When you make eye contact now, people feel seen in a way that can be either comforting or terrifying, depending on where they are in their own journey. Children and animals respond to this immediately because they read energy without the filters adults have. That's why kids might stare at you, or dogs might approach you with unusual trust. Third layer is the purpose activation beacon. This is perhaps the most powerful aspect of the mark. It signals to the universe and to other aware beings that you're ready for your assignment. You've completed enough of your healing to be trusted with greater responsibility. You've developed enough strength to handle what's coming. You've gained enough wisdom to navigate complexity. The mark essentially broadcasts that you're available for higher level work. This is why opportunities have been showing up differently lately, why people are coming to you with requests you've never gotten before. Why you're being put in situations that feel slightly beyond your current capacity, forcing you to grow into them. Why resources, information, and connections are appearing at exactly the right moments. The mark attracts mission-elect support. Timing matters in spiritual evolution, and there are specific reasons why this mark is becoming visible on your face at this exact point in your life. First reason is collective acceleration. We're in a period of rapid consciousness evolution on the planet. More people are waking up faster than ever before. This means the contrast between those who are awake and those who are still asleep is becoming more pronounced. The mark makes it easier for awakened people to recognize each other in a crowd. It's like a spiritual QR code that helps aligned souls connect faster. You've probably experienced this recently, meeting someone and feeling an instant recognition, like you've known them forever, even though you just met. That's the marks communicating beneath the surface of small talk. Second reason is mission urgency. If you're carrying the mark, it means you have work to do that can't wait anymore. The universe has been preparing you for years, maybe lifetimes, for a specific role. That role requires you to be visible to certain people and invisible to others. The mark handles that sorting process automatically. It attracts your soul tribe, your collaborators, your students, your supporters. It repels time wasters, energy vampires, mission distractors, and people whose drama would derail your purpose. You don't have to manually screen everyone anymore. The mark does it for you. This might feel harsh when people you care about suddenly exit your life, but it's actually protection. You're being streamlined for efficiency. Third reason is personal readiness. The mark doesn't show up until you're strong enough to handle what it attracts. Before your initiation, you needed to be hidden. You needed time to heal, to learn, to grow without the pressure of being seen. But now you've built enough internal structure to handle visibility. You've developed enough groundedness to navigate increased attention. You've cultivated enough groundedness to stay centered when people project their expectations onto you. The mark is appearing now because you're finally ready for what comes with it. The universe doesn't give you a spotlight until you've learnt to handle the shadows it creates. Let's talk about the practical implications of carrying this mark, because it's not just a spiritual concept. It has real-world effects that are already showing up in your daily experience. First thing the mark attracts is truth-tellers and truth-seekers. People who are done with superficial relationships start appearing in your life. They're not interested in small talk or maintaining comfortable pretenses. They want real conversations. They want to explore ideas that matter. They want connections that challenge them to grow. These people recognize the mark on you because they're developing their own. They see you as a mirror, a mentor, or a partner in the journey toward greater authenticity. You'll find that your social circle is getting smaller, but infinitely deeper. Quality over quantity becomes the standard for your relationships. Second thing the mark attracts is opportunities for leadership and influence. You might not think of yourself as a leader. You might actually resist that role because you've seen how leadership gets corrupted. But the mark signals that you have something others need: wisdom, perspective, experience, guidance. People will start asking you for advice more frequently. They'll want to know how you survived what broke them. They'll look to you as an example of what's possible after devastation. You might find yourself being invited into spaces where decisions are made, where change is initiated, where voices matter. This isn't about ego or status. It's about the natural authority that comes from lived experience and integrated wisdom. Third thing the mark attracts is accelerated manifestation. Your intentions carry more weight now. Your words have more power. Your thoughts materialize faster. This is both a gift and a responsibility. The mark amplifies your creative ability because you've proven you can handle the consequences of what you create. But this means you need to be more conscious than ever about what you're thinking, saying, and believing. Negative spirals can manifest just as quickly as positive visions. The universe is responding to your frequency with less delay than before. You've probably noticed this. How quickly things shift based on your internal state. how rapidly circumstances change when you change your mind, how synchronicities increase when you're aligned with your truth. Fourth thing the mark attracts is tests and challenges. This isn't punishment, it's refinement. The mark means you're being prepared for something significant, and that preparation never stops. You'll be tested on boundaries. Can you hold your standards when pressure comes to lower them? You'll be tested on authenticity. Can you stay true to yourself when it would be easier to conform? You'll be tested on compassion. Can you remain kind while also protecting your energy? You'll be tested on faith. Can you trust the process when visible evidence suggests otherwise? These tests aren't meant to break you. They're meant to prove to you how unbreakable you've become. Every gift has a shadow, and it's important to understand what you're signing up for by carrying this mark. First shadow is increased isolation. Not everyone can handle your frequency now. People you used to connect with easily might feel distant or uncomfortable. Family members might not understand who you've become. Old friends might drift away without clear reasons. This can feel lonely, especially when you're already feeling different from most people around you. The truth is that your evolution has moved you into a different energetic neighborhood. You're no longer vibrating at the frequency of your previous social circle. This doesn't make them bad or you better, it's just misalignment. But it can hurt when you realize how few people from your old life can meet you where you are now. Second shadow is hypervisibility to negative attention. Just as the mark attracts aligned connections, it also attracts opposition from those who are threatened by what you represent. You might notice increased jealousy from people who seem to have no reason to envy you. You might experience sabotage attempts that feel random, but are actually energetic responses to your frequency. You might find that certain people become obsessed with undermining you, talking about you, or trying to expose flaws they're projecting onto you. This is the mark doing its job of exposing those who aren't aligned with your mission. But it can feel like you're under constant attack from multiple directions. Third shadow is the burden of seeing clearly. Once the mark activates, you can't unsee what you now see. You read people faster. You detect deception immediately. You sense agendas beneath surface words. You feel the energy of spaces before anyone speaks. This is incredibly useful for protection and discernment, but it's also exhausting. You can't enjoy naive trust anymore. You can't pretend certain relationships are healthier than they are. You can't ignore red flags even when you wish you could. The mark strips away the luxury of comfortable ignorance. You're operating with more information than most people, which means you're making decisions based on realities others aren't ready to acknowledge. Fourth shadow is the responsibility of influence. When you carry the mark, people watch you differently. They notice how you respond to challenges. They observe your choices. They listen to your words more carefully. This means your moments of weakness or failure become more visible and more scrutinized. You don't get the privacy to mess up quietly anymore. People are subconsciously looking to you as an example, which means your behavior carries weight beyond just your own experience. This isn't about being perfect. It's about recognizing that your actions ripple further than they used to. The mark makes you a reference point, whether you want to be or not. Now that you understand what the mark is and what it means, let's talk about how to navigate this reality effectively. First principle is acceptance over resistance. The mark is there whether you acknowledge it or not. Fighting it or trying to hide it only creates internal conflict. The people who thrive with this mark are the ones who accept that they're different now, that they can't go back to who they were before, that their path requires visibility even when it's uncomfortable. Acceptance doesn't mean arrogance. It means honest acknowledgement of what's true. You've changed. Others can sense it. Denying it doesn't make it less real. It just makes you less authentic. Second principle is intentional alignment. The mark amplifies what you focus on. If you focus on victimhood, you'll attract more situations that reinforce that identity. If you focus on possibility, you'll attract opportunities that match that vision. You have more creative power than ever before, which means your internal state matters more than circumstances. Work on maintaining alignment with your highest values, your deepest truth, your core purpose. When you feel yourself slipping into old patterns of fear or scarcity, pause and recalibrate. Ask yourself what the version of you who fully owns this mark would think, feel, or do in this situation. Then, choose that. Third principle is strategic visibility. You don't need to announce to everyone that you're carrying a spiritual mark. That would be weird and counterproductive. But you do need to stop hiding. Stop making yourself smaller in rooms where your presence is needed. Stop dimming your light to make insecure people comfortable. Stop pretending you don't see what you see or know what you know. Strategic visibility means showing up fully in spaces where your energy is called for, while maintaining healthy boundaries in spaces that drain you. It means being selectively vulnerable with people who've earned that access, while maintaining privacy from those who haven't. It means using your voice when silence would be complicity, while conserving energy when engagement would be pointless. Fourth principle is community cultivation. The mark connects you to other marked individuals. Seek them out. You'll recognize them by the same qualities you're developing in yourself: depth, authenticity, wisdom born from pain, compassion mixed with boundaries, power balanced with humility. These are your people, your tribe, your soul family. Build relationships with them intentionally. These connections will sustain you when the weight of the mark feels heavy. They'll remind you that you're not crazy or alone. They'll reflect back your growth when you can't see it yourself. They'll challenge you when you're settling for less than you're capable of. They'll celebrate your wins without jealousy and comfort your losses without judgment. The appearance of the mark signals a transition point in your journey. You're moving from preparation phase into activation phase, from student to teacher, from healing to mission, from becoming to being. This doesn't mean you stop growing or learning. It means you're ready to start giving back what you've gained, ready to step into roles that require the wisdom you've earned, ready to influence systems, communities, or individuals that need exactly what you carry. The next phase is going to ask more of you than the previous phases did. More courage, more consistency, more capacity to hold complexity, more willingness to be misunderstood, more strength to stand alone when necessary. But here's what makes this sustainable. You're not the same person who started this journey. The initiation didn't just hurt you, it forged you. You're not hoping you can handle what's coming. You've already proven you can handle things you thought would destroy you. The mark is appearing now because you're ready. Not perfectly ready, not without doubts or fears, but ready enough, strong enough, wise enough, aligned enough. The universe doesn't wait until you feel completely prepared. It waits until you're actually prepared, even if you don't feel it yet. And you are. Expect your life to become more purposeful and more challenging simultaneously. Expect doors to open that you didn't know how to knock on. Expect people to show up with exactly what you need at exactly the right time. Expect old patterns to die faster when they resurface. Expect your tolerance for nonsense to decrease while your capacity for meaningful work increases. Expect to outgrow relationships, jobs, and identities that used to fit but no longer serve who you're becoming. Expect to feel pulled toward things that scare you because they're bigger than anything you've attempted before. Expect all of this and know that the mark is both the key that opens these doors and the shield that protects you as you walk through them. If you've read this far, if every section has resonated with something you've been feeling but couldn't name, if you've found yourself nodding along or feeling emotional without quite knowing why, then you already know the truth. You're carrying the mark. It's been forming while you weren't looking, growing while you were busy surviving, solidifying while you were doing the hard work of transformation, and now it's visible enough that others are responding to it even if they can't explain what they're responding to. This is your confirmation. Not from me, from your own recognition, from the resonance between these words and your lived experience. The stares you've been getting aren't random. The way people respond to you differently isn't your imagination. The polarization in your relationships isn't a coincidence. The opportunities showing up aren't luck. The challenges intensifying aren't punishment. It's all connected to the mark, to what it signals, to what it attracts, to what it reveals about who you are and what you're here to do. You didn't choose this path consciously, but at some soul level, you agreed to it. You signed up for the journey that would refine you enough to carry this mark. And now that you're carrying it, you get to choose how you work with it. Will you hide it and pretend you're the same person you used to be? Or will you own it and step into the fullness of who you're becoming? The people who need you are looking for the mark. They might not know that's what they're searching for, but when they see it on your face, something in them will recognize it. Something in them will relax. Something in them will know they've found someone who gets it, someone who has been through the fire and has the scars and the wisdom to prove it. You're going to help people you haven't met yet. You're going to change lives in ways you can't predict. You're going to look back years from now and see that this moment, this recognition of the mark, was the turning point, the moment you stopped questioning your worth and started owning your power. Here's what nobody tells you about spiritual evolution. The goal isn't to become something you're not. The goal is to become so fully yourself that the universe has no choice but to rearrange itself around your authenticity. The mark doesn't make you special. You were always special. You were always carrying this potential. The mark just makes visible what was always true. It's the external manifestation of internal transformation, the physical evidence of spiritual growth, the visible proof that you survived what could have destroyed you and chose to let it make you better instead of bitter. So when people stare at your face, searching for something they can't name, know that they're seeing the truth of who you are. When strangers feel inexplicably drawn to you or uncomfortable around you, know that the mark is doing its job of sorting aligned from misaligned. When opportunities appear that feel too big or challenges arise that seem too hard, know that the mark is attracting exactly what you need to grow into your full capacity. You're not going crazy. You're not imagining things. You're waking up to a layer of reality that most people never perceive. And that awakening comes with both gifts and responsibilities. The mark on your face is a reminder every time you look in someone's eyes and see their reaction. You're different now. You've been changed by fire. You carry wisdom earned through suffering and transformation. You vibrate at a frequency that attracts some and repels others. You're walking a path that gets narrower and steeper, but leads to heights most people never reach. You're not alone in this. Even when it feels lonely, there are others carrying the same mark, walking the same path, doing the same work of becoming who they were always meant to be. And when you find each other, you'll recognize the mark immediately. Not because you can see it with physical eyes, but because your soul knows the signature of someone who has walked through the same fire and emerged transformed. This is your time, your season, your activation. The mark is visible now because you're ready now. Everything you've survived was preparation. Everything you've learned was training. Everything you've lost created space for what's coming. Walk forward with the confidence of someone who knows they've already overcome the worst. Stand tall with the dignity of someone who refused to let pain make them smaller. Speak truth with the authority of someone who has earned the right to be heard through lived experience. And when people stare at your face, searching for what makes you different, let them search. The ones who are ready will see it. The ones who aren't will move on. And both outcomes serve your highest path. The secret mark on your face isn't a secret anymore. It's an announcement, a declaration, a statement to the universe and to everyone you encounter that you're awake, you're aligned, and you're available for your assignment. Welcome to the next level. Welcome to the visibility that comes with transformation. Welcome to the recognition that you've been working toward, whether you knew it or not. The mark is here. The work begins now, and you're more ready than you've ever been. Type "marked" in the comments if this resonated with your soul. Share this with someone who needs to understand what's happening to them. Subscribe if you're ready to continue receiving messages meant specifically for those walking this path. Your journey is just beginning, and the best part is that you're no longer walking it blind. You see the mark, you understand its meaning, and you know that everything is about to change. Stay powerful, stay purposeful, stay awake to the truth of who you are. The world needs what you carry, and the mark ensures they'll find you when the time is right.